Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel, and I'm your host for LT Productions. You are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Chasing Dallas. This is season 6. I think this is episode 4 or possibly 5. But I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Thank you so much. Please support me by liking this video and also sharing it. You can leave your comments below. Let's dialogue. Let's discuss what's going on in one of our favorite shows that we like to watch. And you can subscribe if you are new. So let's get into this episode. Okay, so all I can say is that for the most of the episode, all I was doing was laughing. The entertainment, basically is Donnie and Zesty that really get the mess started. I honestly don't think that this cast is violent. Now, I think if some want to get it popping, they could, but they're not. How can I say this? They're not unhinged and uncontrollable. Some put on the front, well, one particular put on the front, but I'm just not that convinced that they are really about that life. But anyway, all right, so we start off the episode with Teddy Lee. He is taking a tour around his properties that he does manage. He's making sure that everything is compliant, but he did say that he works more on the HOA side of things. He's also having a photo shoot because he's planning to launch his makeup remover line. He calls his friend Eric to let him know what he has going on. I guess he got the idea because he was buying other brands, and he said, well, why don't I just make my own brand? I think that's cool. Hopefully you expand a little bit more. Possibly you can maybe give some recommendations as to, after removing the makeup, what are some different products that you could use to help with the skin, because everybody's skin does not react the same way to makeup, or even what are the right makeups. So you can do the before you put on the makeup, and then possibly just after, as far as just skincare. I think that would go along with, would take you further along the way, past just having makeup remover wipes. That's just my opinion. Okay, so we're in the studio with Donnie, and he has this diss track for Zesty. No lie, I love it. No, I love Zesty. However, I do love the diss track, and it looks like you really excel in the booth. And I'm going to say this right now, Donnie, you excel here. You're obviously a lyricist, and can really flow in the studio. In confrontations, you fall flat. Stay in the booth. Stay in the booth. But anyways, I liked the lyrics, I like the flow, I like the beat. So all I gotta say is kudos. I did listen to one. I think it was Pop Out. I think it was a song. I apologize. Whatever. I'll get more familiar with you artists that are on the show. So yeah, I did like what you did, your creation in it, and it was quite cool. So Jeff Jett meets up with Rio, Kelly, and Teddy Lee, and it's just a opportunity for others to meet each other and get to know one another on a better level. So we find out with Rio, this is around New Year's, or right after New Year's, he got into a car wreck on the highway. He was driving drunk. I'm surprised. Did he go to jail? I don't know if he mentioned that. But anyways, he totaled his car. And as far as totaling his car, he ran into a phone pole. So he's been crashing out since he broke up with his boyfriend. I'm glad you're okay, Rio. And just a little heart to heart. I don't know you like that or whatever, but if I was your friend, it's like, you can't afford to crash out over a dude. And I'm not saying this or judging you in any type of way. I'm saying I'm not going to crash out over a dude of over a year, maybe 3 or 4 years. And this is nothing about your situation and all that. I'm just still trying to get to know the dude. That's how I feel about myself. And again, this was no type of shade towards you or judgment in regards to that. You did mention that you are the primary caretaker of your child. You got somebody that's counting on you. You can't afford to do that. As I said, you have a business going. It sounds like you're in the right head frame as far as your business. I'm hearing how you're talking. It doesn't sound very fool-la-la. It sounds like you got some type of leadership ability and some administration about you. So flow in that. Don't crash out over these dudes that don't mean you nothing. And I don't have to know the story. You just say, hey, no, before you do this, do something else. Call Uber or whatever other type of car service that they got. You got services for other people as far as partying. Now it's time for you to do something for yourself, even if you plan on getting drunk over this dude or anything else that you have going on as far as your problems. They talk about Jet, how's everything, because a lot of them haven't even seen him since his video release. They asked about Donnie, did you meet up with him? And he said he met up with him and basically we're just not going to be friends. And then they talk about the part of what's going around the group about him saying that folks are going to be deported and all of that. Teddy Lee said that he didn't know anything about that. And Jet said, yes, you were there when he said it. And then Jet starts questioning Teddy Lee, like, why did you meet up with the ops? You already know the story. Teddy Lee said, I don't know the story. And he goes in his confessional and says that all I know is Jet's side, and I wanted to give him Donnie opportunity and space to at least explain himself in this whole situation. I think that that's fair. I think Rio's coming by like he's sticking by his friend. And he's saying, well, you met up with him and didn't even tell him about it? Teddy Lee says that he don't really care about how Jet feels about that. So, all I know is in episode 1, you guys are meeting up and it was supposed to be kind of I got your back, you got my back. We're kind of one of the few survivors that are left on this show. Jet feels away. I think Jet should kind of section off like, yeah, we're on a show. So there are some things that have to still be done. You can't just have these new folks out on an island on themselves. You got to at least give them a chance to either sink or swim. And also it looks like Mother and Teddy Lee are supposed to be kind of the anchors of the show and all that. So they got to at least give opportunity. In that, I can really see Teddy Lee's point. So Jet on that, nah. Now, it would have been great if Teddy Lee had went to Jet. But I think the thing that Teddy Lee did say to Donnie, like, it looks like y'all need to go talk and handle this thing. I think that even if it didn't make the edit, cool. But if you did say, look, I was not getting in the middle of this, I did want to hear his side. However, I did direct him that you two need to talk. And then we found out in 2 episodes down or 1 episode down that, hey, they did talk. So, hey, I can't too much fault him on that. It might have been good to just pass on the word to Jet. But I don't think that Teddy Lee is in the mind frame that Jet thought that they were in. Because later on, I think in the episode, or maybe now, but from seasons 4 and season 5, you never really had my back. But then why wasn't that discussed at the table? When y'all met up in episode 1, like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have loyalty to you. That's the thing that is weird to me, unless it didn't make the edit, Like, say that I just don't like. For me, I like things to be direct. I need to know where we are at. Is there an olive branch, and are we going to build from here, or I'm still going to do my thing? And when I want to get you back, I'm going to get you back. Or allow things to happen to you just like you allow things to happen to me. Because you can call things karma, or you just let things happen to people. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, he did say it now. The people were shading, we're attacking Teddy Lee, season 4, season 5, and finding out that Jet was shading him behind his back. Again, I have not watched any other seasons, and I think I will start watching just so that I can get a clearer view of things. But Teddy Lee obviously feels like he doesn't owe Jet Li anything, and is just going to allow anything to happen. That's fine, but it would have been cool if you said that when you sat down to meet with him. That's my own thing. Then Zesty, he arrived, and he got his friend Lynn, and I said, that's what you do. That's how you keep longevity. You bring your friends around so they can come around, join, and turn it up. So, I think they were starting again about the whole, that's why your people are going to be deported by Trump and all that good stuff. Teddy Lee did say, I'm having a vision board party. We're not doing any drama and all that stuff, and was pointing out, Zesty, you ain't going to be doing all this. Zesty was like, I don't know why you're trying to talk about me, blah, 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 blah. And then he says, shout out to my... I don't even think that Donnie going to do nothing. 1 second, before I say what I want to say. I don't think that he's really about that life because he don't really wop, blah, 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 blah. But if you do, shout out to my therapist. I said, wait a minute. First you say you're not a part of the drama. You're just defending yourself. In many cases, I think so. I still don't know what that weird thing that happened between you and Glenn. I don't know in regards to that. I think that you were creating drama for the show, in my personal opinion, because it's not really nothing connected, and he definitely didn't think he was shading or whatever, blah blah blah. But he was talking about Donnie so bad. He's on this kick on calling Donnie a crackhead. There's something I do want to ask a little bit later, since Zesty went into more of his family background a little bit. So we'll get to that in just a second. When you start talking about, dude needs to brush his teeth, and he needs to get a mass gainer. He says that the crack that he's smoking is making his bones dense. I said, oh. He's very skinny, but that don't mean nothing to me, not for real. And he said, I can get you some affordable life insurance, but, now that I think about it, it might be high, since we don't know the unknown substances that could be in your body. I said, Lord! Oh! So, Zesty, you cool. I still think you're cool, even the stuff that you get involved with, it's not even that deep. Even the stuff that really Donnie's getting into is not that deep. So it's just, I think some of the stuff that needs to be really corrected that you be saying is just, okay. But anyways, that was just so funny. But since you do life insurance, I may be talking with you. I'm trying to see what you can do for me, Zesty, okay? They even talk about, because we don't want your parents to have to be working in a car wash. I said, 2 people on this show you do not want to go up against as far as reading. It's Zesty and Rio. I know Rio. Rio, those are 2 shaders. Oh my God. Y'all ain't gonna last. I haven't even seen Rio really go at it, but I was hearing him in the confessional, like, oh, that's one you don't really want to mess with. Because when he lightens to your tail, that's it. Okay, so we're at the vision board party. I know Kelly, Chloe, Lamond. There's someone else sitting at the table, but anyways, Donnie arrives, and he sits down and they talk, and they're like, hey, how you doing? Aren't you the one that was at that party getting all rah-rah and all that? Because Kelly said, I gave you a hug earlier in the day, and then to see, was surprised what I saw later on. Chloe said, or one of them said, so you like to, or you, basically Donnie was like, look, that's not normally me, blah, 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 blah. There was a lot of stuff that was going on online, and I could DM you about what was happening. And, well, Donnie, you didn't even explain yourself, not for real, when you and Jet, and you basically flopped during that meeting. So there's nothing more that you can convince me of, unless you got something else that you could actually say at the reunion. I don't know. So I forgot who it was, Chloe or Kelly, that actually knows. So you're not one of those people that, all of a sudden got a gun. And they said, no, I'm not like that. So then they also ask about the deportation. I love that about Kelly and Chloe, because they're asking the right questions. Let's get to it. Who is this person that's sitting amongst us? And do I need to go grab mine? If you got one, like, you got pistols, do I need to go grab mine? Let me know, So I love that forwardness, and let's just get it on out there. Of course, Donnie says, no, I'm not really like that. He says that he's not a racist, and the stuff that I said was in retaliation to what he was saying. He was saying that he was talking about my curly black hair, that I was born with. Sir, I hate to disappoint you, but I mean, you got kind of those soft curls, that probably has come because that you have a white mama and a black daddy, or at least someone that's not black, because I think you ended up saying, oh no, you talked about stuff. You did say earlier you were white and black, even though you claim to be black today. That's just my thoughts, that's my theory. But anyways, you got that curly hair because you got some of this and you got some of that. Let's make that clear right now. So, and he talked about my forehead, but didn't you talk about his forehead first, and then he talked about yours? And then that's when you start talking about this whole African king forehead. I don't know who started with whom, but it was just like, it started getting real for whatever reason. You thought that you really did something by saying, that's why your people are going to be deported by Trump. Not a good look. And I think you said in your confessional, first you said I'm not racist, and my boyfriends, what you said in the last episode, are all Hispanic. What that got to do with anything, in my opinion? What? But then you're so black proud. And I don't think that you have to date or marry a black person in order to be pro-black, but it's just like, it's too much of you trying to prove that you're black, that's irritating. Because I'm like, what? every single second you gotta prove that you're black somehow. It don't take all of that, because obviously there is something in your past that is driving you to try to connect to the blackness of you. And in no way am I putting down you being a biracial. I just don't see your authenticity as far as trying to say, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black. Who cares? Like, we get it. We get that you're biracial. We know you got a black dad and a white mom. We get it. I just say chill on that, in my opinion. And then he also said, what? Black people are going to stand by my stance. This black person is not. Because it's not cool to say. It's not cool to say. And maybe you took it too far. Let's just back up. You talk about some features and you thought he was making fun of your features as a black person. Nobody really knows that you're a black person, though. Not for real. You don't look black. You don't look white, but you don't look black either. It's just how you, I mean, you do have a mix, even when talking. I hear more urban, I hear some urban, and then I also hear some whiteness in you. And it's cool. It's fine. But it's just like, I'm black. I'm black. It's just kind of like off-putting to me. Let's see. So Kelly in her confessional says Donnie does appear to be a little over the edge, but when you get to know him, he's really a sweetheart. And I really think so too. I just think that first episode kind of was like, what are you doing? Like, you coming in there like a raging maniac. I still don't feel like it was the right place to try to confront this dude. Possibly you made a splash with being on the show doing that, but you know, hey. So then he says he's got a diss song for Zesty. Zesty Pat is what the name of the song is, and he starts playing the song. So there, he's in the midst of playing the song, and Zesty walks in. Zesty comes in, and he starts greeting people. We see Donnie get up. Like, why are you standing up? I guess you thought he was about to do something. I don't know, but that wasn't what the vibe he was. Zesty goes over to the counter because he knows that this is a diss song about him, and then he just starts dancing and getting his booty in the air. Let you know that you're not phasing me like that. I said that's how you do it. When he thought he was gonna gag you, you ended up gagging him. That is so crazy. Oh, it was hilarious. So hilarious. So Donnie and Rio, they go outside and they talk, and Rio wanted to explain his place. Like, look, I didn't have no beef with you personally. I was standing up for my friend, and also I felt the way because I wasted my time to get. I spent my time trying to get over here, and to have it wasted by having this type of altercation, it just was a no-go. Rio did feel like, because of how you wasted our time in that way, that you owe me and the cast an apology and all that, you know. Donnie agrees to it in his face, but in his confessional, he's saying something else. So I don't know his sincerity in that. Maybe he didn't really want the smoke, as Rio did say, but it's just like, I don't know. Then they talk about the whole Mexican deportation. And then Donnie said, wait, that's not what I said, da-da-da-da-da. I need to back it up and tell you why I even said what he said, because he was making fun of my black, great curly hair, and I'm not saying that the way that he said it in my forehead, and I felt like he was taking knocks at African features, because you know every black person has a big forehead, which is not true. I guess in Oklahoma, in the part of Dallas that you live in, that's not true. I do. I got a big head. So, hey, and mine's shaped like an egg, as you can see. So, hey, anyways, he says he takes accountability for what he said. Rio did say, you know, I kind of understood where he was coming from. As long as he could take accountability for what he said, that because it was not right in what he said, no matter what, you know. So they go back inside. Teddy Lee says that we're going to discuss, you know, vision board crap and stuff, and then address some of the issues that we got. Donnie says, you know, I wanted to apologize about the comment that I made. It wasn't my intent. And then all of a sudden Zesty said, and I'm paraphrasing what Donnie said, but Zesty basically said, you meant that, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and that really started something going off. Donnie getting out of his seat, and then Zesty ended up calling him a crackhead, and I guess that was a trigger for him, and now he's gonna come over there, Donnie, acting like he was ready to fight. Then he walks around the table, and Zesty's like, what's up? What's up? What's up? And Zesty's still talking his ish. Like, he does not care about any of y'all. So then Donnie was still very rowdy, and then they escorted him out, and he left the party. So it's like, okay, moving forward. Robert, and I would guess Robert is an OG or a veteran of Dallas. He tells Chloe about what he heard, what Mother said about him at Jet's event. The mother said that your balls was hanging out. And he's like, what? I don't know how she could have seen that when my balls were tied up all the way to my butt crack. Now, I'm not an expert in all of that. I was like, oh, so that's what y'all do? The only thing that we saw is that we saw Chloe's booty. I didn't see it, unless y'all did, let me know. I didn't see no blurring out of anything of the frontage. And I already said, look, I knew this was a bad look. I knew it was going to be negative and how people would see me, Chloe. At least try that type of look around people that you're comfortable around or your own friends. I mean, cool that nobody came up to you. So anyways, after Chloe said what she needed to say, then Mother comes up and then Chloe confronts her. Chloe's still seated and just said, I heard that you said da-da-da-da-da-da. The Mother just says that I didn't say that. And she explained it by saying that Chloe is dressed and it's way too high that you could see her balls and print because it was too high. Not saying that it was there, or like she could see it or not. It was just the length was that high that you could see it. And also to them, and then in her confessional, I may have been thinking it in my mind, I don't know. I was like, so what was it? Because you sounded quite aloof as to what you were actually saying. Because I didn't know that she was saying that before until Sean. I remember them talking about Chloe and what she had on. What was it? Sean and our other girl was there, and I think Lamont was there too. So it's like, okay, cool. But I didn't hear them say balls. Maybe Mother did not say that. I don't know, but there's not a great defense that you're actually talking when I'm hearing you in the confessional, Mother. So I don't know. So Teddy Lee gets everybody's attention again and basically wants everybody to go around and state your goals for 2025. And Teddy Lee says that his goal is to help mend the gap between the different ones that have issues with one another. If not, then oh well, if they don't want to resolve the issues. It's Glenn's turn. And Glenn was like, I don't know. All the yelling around here, it's just really hard for me to think. And Zesty said, I think at first, well, stay quiet, girl, or to that nature, or ended up saying, speak up, girl. One of those two, I think both of them came out of the mouth because it was like taking Glenn a long time to even say something. So then all of a sudden they get into it. Glenn doesn't understand the issue, and neither do I. But anyways, Glenn said, look, I gotta go. I'm getting too frustrated before I really go off. Were you? And then somebody brought up, I think it was Robert, like, oh, you all right with me, Zesty? You done ran off 2 inches. I said, I mean, he did. He really did. Glenn ended up coming back and saying, look, whatever this issue with Hooker and all that, I ain't speaking on it no more. We're just gonna bury it right here. And I don't know what happened. I was hearing all this talking, but it wasn't really making sense to me. It looked like Zesty's mic was off, or we weren't hearing him or whatever, and we're hearing other people's mics. So I don't know for sure, but Zesty got the party started. Even though Donnie was supposed to have Zesty gagged at this party. All right, so Zesty and Jet, they meet up. They're going ice skating, and you see Zesty falls flat on his front side and all that good stuff. So they start, after they're done, they talk about, I think Zesty said, where you been? How people in here? Jet said that he overslept and didn't make it to the vision board party. So then Jet wants to tell you on what happened. Zesty says, Real put him on game that Donnie was going to have this song, so I was pretty prepared for that. So I think that was cool. However, it happened. Zesty came in and turned the event on him in a good way, and it didn't have the same effect as I think Donnie wanted it to go, even though it is a good song as far as how you did everything to it, What he doesn't like, what came out of Donnie's mouth, is talking about you're stuffed like a pepper and you look like a soccer player. He did explain something to Real about being a soccer player. He said it wasn't about them, it's about the shoes he had on. But what shoes were you talking about? Didn't he have on like a white fur? No, that was you that had on a white fur, but he had on something too, an ensemble. So I don't know about that. I don't know. But it's those things that you are trying to say that you don't mean to be this way, but you keep on saying certain things against other cultures. Of course, black people can't be racist, but y'all can't be problematic. Can't be problematic. let's not go there and act like you're absolved. You can say whatever you want to say to other cultures because of how you've been done, how we've been done in America. Zesty says, I'm offended as a Mexican. My family is all from Mexico. They are immigrants that came over here. Da 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 da. And then he said something about most of his family is on crack. I said, is that why you keep talking about crack in regards to Donnie? Because obviously there's a story there. I don't know if Chasing Dallas is going to touch on that, but something is there. Because when you start referring to him every time you see him or talk about him as a crackhead, I was like, well, why is he doing that? And now there's some family history to your family being addicted to it. Hopefully Chasing Dallas does tap into that, because I think there's some type of correlation as to why you keep going there. However, other people do think that you are on some type of substance, Donnie. I don't know if it's true or not, and maybe you are just trying to get things popping in these scenes. I don't know. Then they talk about Glenn. He says, our thing is not that deep. It's just, and I still don't understand what he was saying to Jet about Glenn and what he didn't like about him, or how, it didn't make sense to me. So Jet said, maybe I need to just set up a fun setup. Some people are not going to be invited. I'm not going to force people into friendships and all that good stuff. So I guess Donnie would not be invited. And then they left it there. Well, Mother has her own event at a bowling alley. And she said, I'm only inviting people that I F with. We see Lamont. We see that he invited his girlfriend. So we get to know her. I did not... My first impression of just her appearance, I didn't think that he would be dating someone non-flamboyant. That's what I really thought. I thought he would attract someone a little bit more boisterous in a way. And I'm not calling her not a baddie, and maybe she can be a baddie and dress up and all that. It's a bowling alley for one. So I just thought that, in my mind, I thought a different thing as far as the type of woman that Lamont would be dating. Donnie was invited. Teddy Lee was invited. And basically, she says the others are ratchet and I don't want to be around them. Jayla is the only one that was invited that could not make it. So those are the ones. So Mother said anytime she has her own events, these are the only people that I'm inviting. It's my stuff. I'll still support and go to their stuff. Don't want nobody saying da 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 da. And I have my thoughts. And I'm trying not to go there. Only thing I'm gonna give you a clue to my thoughts is that it feels like it's a us versus them type of thing. I'm gonna be over here and y'all be over here. That's how it's feeling. I'll go into more depth if I keep seeing it or something else comes up. But I'm sure that you guys can read between the lines as far as what I'm saying, right? Mother says that you have one time to show me and then I'm good on you. However, you show me, whatever. I have a question though, Mother. If it takes one time for somebody to show you, you and Ted Lee kicked out Donnie Moon. But he was invited to the bowling alley. And that's where I'm like, things is looking a little bit fishy as far as whom you actually choosing to hang out with. Because he showed you at your own thing, and you had to kick him out. It wasn't the other way around. So what's wrong with Zesty? Is it because of the thing that he got going on with Glenn that made you say, I'm not gonna do that? Let me know, because it's looking a certain way. I'm trying to hold off on it though. She said that she's seen Chloe and just really brushed her off and paid her dust and wasn't talking to her. Mother feels that Chloe should have pulled her to the side to talk to her about her balls hanging out, or hearing that her balls was hanging out. Chloe said at the vision board thing, well, you could have pulled me to the side. Mother's excuse is, I don't know you, so I wouldn't have pulled you to the side. But I will talk about you behind your back. So you want something out of Chloe that you're not willing to give her. Is there a hierarchy within this group? I'm just asking. I'm new. Remember, I'm like 4 episodes in. I didn't watch any other episodes. So what's going on here? That's not making sense, and that's quite hypocritical. So I've seen you twice in this episode, Mother, being hypocritical. And then you're going to probably have this grandstand and this reunion is acting like you were standing on business and you weren't. Sorry, 2 clockable things that I've heard out of you and saw out of you. Mother's not really effing with Jet. one of his friends ended up telling Mother that he wasn't coming to that ish anyways, to the vision board meeting thing. Said that, I guess the friend revealed a text that he said about the vision board thing, even though Jet was saying that he was just sick. And he said, well, I'm really good on you. I don't really, we good. So, is Donnie Moon there because you done chose the side? Because you seem to understand Donnie Moon's side, even though when Jet and Donnie Moon met up, Donnie Moon had no argument. Not for real. So she says that Jet is a puppet master, that he would get people around to manipulate things and say this is going on, to turn people against each other. I don't know about that. I haven't watched other seasons, as I've said so many times already, but okay. When I see it, I will definitely say Mother was right. Teddy Lee says, he wants us to support him, but he don't really want to support us. It's this loyalty that's kind of disjointed as to what I'm getting from Teddy Lee. I don't know about that as of yet, but it looks like I'm kind of waiting to say what I need to say. I don't want it to be this way, but it looks like it is going this way. But we're gonna wait and see. Anyways, I enjoyed this episode. Zesty, you are the #1 MVP. Donnie, you're gonna be #2 because y'all made the action pop, and I did like the record you made it. So, props to you. Again, stay in the booth, not in beats. Please. Y'all let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. And until the next one, peace.